So I'm going live right now. So good evening, everybody who's about to come on. I want to thank you for coming on and enjoying your evening with us. Um, so with that being said, tonight we're going to be talking about the Masonic burials, rights and privileges. Who has a right to the Masonic burials? What are the privileges? What does the family, or if the family has any say so? So tonight we're going to get right in here, and we're going to dive right in and talk about the rights um, of the. Okay, there you go. That'll work too. The rights of having the Masonic burial, and I think I say that only because here recently, as some of you may already know or may not know, that the most wishful John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California received and the Grand Master of John G. Jones Grand Lodge, uh, there's a correspondence between the Grand Lodge of Las Vegas, PHA, and John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California, Ain't You Free and Accepted Masons, where the correspondence that went out is that we were going to be doing a Masonic burial for a brother of the craft who was not a member of our jurisdiction. We don't mind doing that Masonic burial. As a matter of fact, it was requested of the family that we actually do the Masonic burial based upon the relationships of two Masonic brothers out of two different jurisdictions. That's the crust of it. Past Master George from True Kinsman Lodge number 1 was friends with Brother Nixon, and they had a bond with each other for a while, I would imagine. And the family knew that Brother George was a Mason, and they had that connection. So when the brother passed away, the family automatically reached out to George, because George, they was always together, they was conversating, they had this relationship. They did not know whether or if there was a relationship with uh, any of the PHA brothers there in Las Vegas, but they knew George. So they reached out to him and asked, would it be okay to have that Masonic burial? And he reached out to the Grand Master and said, would it be okay? Grand Master said, yeah, why not? Yeah, it certainly is okay. I have no idea what I just did with my chat, but it's okay. No idea at all. But like I said, it's okay. So it went out, and this is what we got. So, it's interesting. I would say that because of what has been said in regards to the 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 letter that went out. A lot of I've read so many different things. He wasn't a Mason, So I'm like, how did you guys come up with that? How did that even come about that he wasn't a Mason? Is what I really would like to know, because that is just the craziest thing that I've come across. It's the mere fact that he wasn't a Mason. So I'm letting you know tonight that truly this brother indeed um, was a Mason. So of just a different jurisdiction. So if anybody want to tune in and ask questions, they're certainly welcome to do so. And we can have this discussion in regards to what's about to take place in a couple of weeks in regards to having the rights and privileges of Masonic burial. Now, as most of us know, inter apprentices and fellow craft do not have a right to Masonic burials. And most jurisdictions, some jurisdictions, they may have that right. And anyway, with that being said, it is really left up to the Grand Master of State to say who has and who can get those rights and privileges. Of course, most of us do know that, okay, you can go and you can have the rights and privileges, which is great. I mean, it's a great thing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But however, it is up to that Grand Master to say, hey, you know what, we got this, and it's a done deal. It's really up to that Grand Master. of state. So I know I got some people that's on the Zoom over here. So why don't you just talk to me? Hello? Did I lose my people on my Zoom? Hold on a second.
No, you didn't lose.
Okay, I'm just wondering because I don't just need you sitting over there just being quiet. I need your participation.
We just mute them because we don't want any extra noises in the camera.
Well, I'm asking for participation as far as that is concerned.
Right.
So, with that being said, I really can't see too much what's happening in the chat right now. So kind of bear with me, okay? Waiting for Zoom. Okay, let me get this brother in the Zoom tonight. So for those of you who know and don't know, this is something that is taking place, okay? So let me get this brother in this Zoom real quick. Greetings, Charles. What's happening with you from Louisiana? What's going on? I appreciate you tuning in tonight. What's going on with everybody? But tonight, as I'm going to recap in just a few minutes, as soon as I get a better handle on what's actually taking place. Admit, got it. Admit all. Okay. So what I would like to do is really have a good conversation in regards to the Masonic burial. And let's not just say the Masonic burial. Let's also include this Order of the Sister Star, the Order of the Eastern Star. Let's include their burial too, because a lot of times when we are talking about burials, we don't include the sisters in a lot of stuff. So let's include them when we are talking about Masonic burials. I think that would be a great thing to do tonight. So as we talk about the Masonic burial, the OES burial, who has the final say so whether that person would be buried as an Eastern Star or who would do the burial? Who has that final say so? Let's have that conversation also. So as we begin to look at the various different jurisdictions, what they allow, what they don't allow, from what I gather right now, a lot of the jurisdictions under the Prince Hall, they don't allow that, but some do. You know, I would say in my own jurisdiction, if a brother needed to have a Masonic burial and we wasn't able to give it to him, if someone else was able to give it to him, what's wrong with that? That would be me. What's wrong with a brother having a proper burial as a Mason? What's wrong with having a sister to have the proper burial as an Eastern Star? Too many times we get caught up emotionally in regards to, oh, well, they're this or they're that. But you know what? They love the craft and the order just as much as you did. And for you to say, well, you know what? They don't really deserve it is really sad. I believe that every person who's been a Mason, who's been an Eastern Star, deserves to have those rights and privileges. Now, you may not feel that way, and that's okay. It's really okay, but really and truly, they deserve to have that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them having that service done, because in most of your Masonic rituals, it says all rights and privileges. It doesn't say just to this or just to that. It really doesn't. And I think we should really take a serious look at the Masonic burial, who can have it, who can't have it, and what it's really all about. Because is it something special that most brothers of the craft and sisters of the order would really want to have? Now, check this out. If the family don't want you to have those Masonic rites and burials and you didn't write it down, you ain't getting it. You are not going to get it. You can say whatever you want to say. If you did not write it down and it wasn't a request of yours, and the family feel that, you know what, you spent all of your time with them brothers, you spent all of your time with them sisters, that's okay. No, that's all right. We don't want to have a Masonic burial. We don't want to have an Eastern Star burial. That is your family right. Now, if you had it written down that this is something you wanted and your family would like to honor that, that's different. But if it's not written down, they don't have to let you do anything. As a matter of fact, I remember when my past master, Benjamin Mitchell, passed away back in 1992. His family said no Masonic burial. You can come dressed, you can sit behind us, but there will be no Masonic burial. So when we see this, you really have to realize that as a Mason in the Eastern Star, how is where does your family fit into this? Because they're gonna have the last say so when you're gone, because you ain't gonna be able to speak. So where does your family fit into you knowing that you want to have this Masonic burial? Now I can say that my family already knows. I'm gonna be cremated. It's all good. Have a party, have the Masonic burial, and be done. Short, simple, sweet, and to the point. That's what I'm saying now. That's what I know. That's what I wanted, and that's what's written down. A lot of people can't say that because they don't know, because they don't have it written down. So what you get is you get a family who's pissed off because all of his life he's been traveling up and down the freeway with you. He really never had time for his family. She never really had time for her family. And you get this backlash, So we have to be very careful on what's actually taking place when that brother passed away. If the family so desires, it's a wrap. No matter what you say, it's a wrap. It's done. Now, in this particular situation, with the Grand Master State saying to my particular jurisdiction, saying, yeah, you know what, you're welcome to come in the state and do the burial, the family requested it. That's what you call diplomacy. And a lot of you don't appreciate diplomacy. You're on some other trip. This is truly what Masonry is all about. And it's sad to say, even Brother Melvin Little stated, this should be the norm. This should be the norm. But it's not necessarily the norm. Like my brother told me the other day, it's going to stick with me. He said, Hawkins, you are such, hey, Brother Goodman, what you say? You said you are such a diplomat and
a diplomat and a politician.
You say he's a diplomat and a politician, And to some point it's true. Yeah, it's true. But we have to be able to be diplomatic in situations like this when it comes to a brother who has passed away and a family desires for another jurisdiction to do his funeral. We have to be diplomatic about it. Even within our own Masonic jurisdictions, there are going to come times when you have to play that diplomatic role. And then there's sometimes when you have to put your foot down like Brother Goodman, he likes to do. He very rarely southernly like to be that like diplomatic person. Now he'll have an understanding, but that's just who he is, So you have to kind of look at that and move that forward, because if you don't, you're gonna be one upset jurisdiction when the family requests that another jurisdiction does the Masonic burial for their family member. You're gonna be upset. Your question is going to be why we can't do it. Yes, go ahead.
I add something real quick because, like I said, when I started Masonry in Gulf, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And it was a military town, so we had mainstream, we had different jurisdictions of ancient free, modern free, Prince Hall, mm-hmm. all in one spot. And being that it's a military town, we all coincided in work. There's those of us that went to high school together and college mm-hmm. together, and we all in the same city. If Prince Hall had a function, we still showed up. They didn't say anything, and we were there. We may not have been in their business meetings.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If they had a function, they still came out and supported. Same with some mainstream, same with some other jurisdictions and so forth. So what's the difference with a burial? Burial's not business.
Well, that's just like you could say the same thing about going to church.
So we should be able to support each other. We can go out and support each other's charitable events, we should support each other in burial. It's not business.
We should, but everybody is not like us. When I say us, I'm talking about our particular jurisdiction. Everybody is not like that. Everybody is not going to be so kind and gentle to say yes or whatever. Everybody is not going to be there. So this is what you're going to get. And it's sad, but this is what you're going to get. You're going to get to a point where you have brothers of the craft and sisters of the order really going back and forth over, is this legit or not? Should they be doing this or not? You're going to get that. And that's sad. But this is where we'll come to in Freemasonry and the Order of the Eastern Star, that this is not the norm. This should be the norm. Brother Melvin Little, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but unmute yourself, because I know you got a lot to say about this. Yeah, go ahead, comment.
I'm just basically saying is the fact that we got to get to a point where we act like this is a big fight, this is a big, it's 2021. It should be the norm. I mean, guys are still fighting. I mean, I'm not gonna go into my old age and be to the point where I'm acting like, hey, you know, this is not the norm. This can't be the norm. I mean, why we even call ourselves Masons? I don't care about the jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. Why do you call yourselves Masons and orders and members of the Order of the Eastern Star when you can't perform or treat the next person like you would want to be treated? I mean, after this letter went out, man, you just could have seen what was actually coming up. I mean, I really couldn't believe it, to be totally honest with you. After I read the comments and the various things that people were saying in regards to this brother, they said that the brother wasn't even a Mason. That he was a John G. Jones member. I even read that. Word on the street, is that what I'm like, come on now. There's a letter out there, and the letter was posted on the Facebook page of John G. Jones, and it was taken off that page and shared in various groups. And it is what it is. But we as Masons and Eastern Stars, as Brother Melvin Little, we should be far ahead than where we're at right now. And this even goes back to the membership. Why are we losing members like we're losing? We need to even consider that.
Well, see, Tony, I didn't see all those comments, so that's
sad, man. Because
the letter has the seal from the Grand Master here in the bottom of Prince Hall. The seal is on it. That's not anything that we just conjured up.
I'm going to say this too.
So for them to sit there and say that their own Grand Master of their own jurisdiction is lying about people's members, what does that say within its own organization?
Hey, hey, you know what? I'm just going to say it is what it is. And I know that may be just as. Go ahead.
They got their own problems right now. I'm sorry for cutting you off, brother.
Go ahead.
They got their own problems right now. They're going through splits right now. The main thing that they said is, hey, the main thing that they said that they were not going to do is popping up Grand Lodges, 2 Prince Hall Grand Lodges in the same jurisdiction. They got their own battles that they're going through. You know, Supreme Councils popping up out of thin air. So, I mean, for me, I just think, you know, you can't call the kettle black when, you know, everybody had their own problems. They solve them in their own way. Mm-hmm. But if the Grand Master has allowed it, he is the embodiment of that jurisdiction. And he is. It's law. Mm-hmm. So I think, honestly, I think he should be commended. He should get something from Johnny Jones. I'm going to give him my opinion. I'm only giving my opinion. He should get something as a thank you. Mm-hmm. Because maybe he's tired and he went over, you know. The ball starts to roll somewhere.
Right.
I think he purposely did this one out of respect to say, hey, this crap is old. It's time to start a new way of thinking.
Well, I'm going to respond to a message that you can't really see on chat from Lindsay. And he said, diplomacy my ass. The request, if it's real, should have been acknowledged or granted. It should have been explained to the family why not as well. Well, to Lindsay, let me explain this to you. The son of the father that passed away knew the difference. He knew George was in a different jurisdiction. It was explained. So it was at the family request, and if you don't like what the family decides, then that's nothing you can do about it. Nothing at all. You can poop, you can duke, you can say whatever you want to say. At the will and pleasure of the family, they can have anyone they want to come and give the rights and privileges to that brother. It's their will and pleasure, okay? Regardless of the jurisdiction. Now, as much as we would love to do the Masonic burial for our brothers and our sisters in our various jurisdictions, it is totally up to the family. If they don't want to have it, then they don't have it. But it's the last say so comes through the family, bro. So, there's no need to be emotional about this. Some of you guys are just too emotional. Get out of your emotions and really think logically in regards to what's going on. This brother is gone. His family has made a decision to have another jurisdiction to do the Masonic burial because of the relationship that he had with another brother. Simple as that. It is not complicated. And as Brother Melvin Little has said, this should really be the norm. This should really be the norm. And for us to sit here who are Masons and Eastern Stars to really be having this conversation in 2021 tells us that we haven't really gone or grown or moved forward in our thinking. We're still thinking way back when. Some of us hadn't been educated enough to understand the protocols and procedures of what actually occurs when you have respect between various jurisdictions. Although one may be considered irregular, clandestine, or whatever you want to call it, you have to realize that Masonry goes beyond that. And if you're going to always put yourself in that box where you're at, this is what you're going to get. You're going to have those moments, and it's sad, but you're going to have those moments. And that's the thing that we really, really have to consider. To me, we really have to start considering that a change is coming. We can say whatever we want to say. Masonry is changing before our very eyes. It's not, because right now, Masonry is not the same as it was when I first came in. It is not. I mean, came in 32 years ago. There was no internet, no chat, none of that stuff. And look how it has changed. It has really shrunk Masonry. Now, if your jurisdiction has a split, everybody is capable of getting out and everybody knowing about it. So it's not just if you have the split, then it's just kept right there. No, it is bigger than that now. It is totally bigger than that now. And we have to realize that you can no longer keep stuff under wraps like you used to. You can't do it. There was a time you used to be able to keep stuff kind of settled, but you can't do that now. The internet, Facebook, Instagram, all of those things put stuff on Front Street. So however you may feel about a brother or a sister, it's out there. Let's just be honest. I mean, however you want to flip this thing, Masonry is changing, and it's changing before your very eyes. What we see today and what we see in another 10 years is going to be off the chain. Trust me on that. Because people who are coming into Masonry, it doesn't matter the jurisdiction. They already know the differences. So they're picking their sides per se. They're choosing, okay, you know what? I'm going to go with this jurisdiction because it fits them. When a jurisdiction or a lodge fits you, that's where you need to be. If it doesn't fit you, you don't need to be there. If it doesn't do anything for you, you don't need to be there. You need to be in a Masonic lodge that's going to work for you, fit you, and really make you feel welcome and appreciated in that particular jurisdiction. Also, I would say the same for a chapter. And I've said over and over again, some people may get tired of me hearing me say it. But why would you want to go to a place where you don't feel welcome, or be a part of a jurisdiction you don't feel welcome? You know, I say that all the time. So here we are, 2021. Bam. This is probably one of the first times, I would say publicly, that correspondence like this has occurred. I don't know of another time. Some of you may know of other times this may have occurred between members of a John G. Jones Masonic jurisdiction and a Prince Hall jurisdiction. I don't know, but this is my first. So if this isn't your first time and you see it differently, yeah, go at it. I'm gonna show this here. I'm not gonna hide anything. If a brother or sister posts something, I'm gonna show it, whether you curse or not. But if you want to call in tonight, you're certainly welcome to call in. Lindsay, you're certainly welcome to call in.
Hey, Tony,
yeah, go ahead.
His brother's got all these negative comments, but who's reaching out to PHA to come and assist their brother?
Hey, from what I know right now,
because I know Nevada's closed, but not other states are closed.
Well, hey,
so if they have a problem, why are they not coming out to assist their brothers in Nevada?
I can't answer that.
They can holler and cuss and scream about it. I'm like, I can take them now to places where, and the sad thing is, if Ollie Spencer can go over to you and sit there in business meetings in the mother lodge, why are these cats here clowning about something so minute?
But well, you have to understand you're dealing with a different mindset.
Because they don't even realize that Yule's trying to figure out, when are we going to come together and get rid of this ignorance, form our own mother lodge here in the United States, and have a Black Masonic fraternity? They're still waiting to find out when we're going to figure that part out. I've had that conversation.
Well, oh man, that's for another show, bro. It sounds that
you can honestly.
Why everybody's so busy with
the
recognition? They don't even play that game over there, but it's like that.
Hold on. What you was gonna say, brother Melvin?
In my opinion, this is just my opinion. There would never be a mother lodge in the United States. Everybody coming together. Everybody has tasted their own power, and because everybody has tasted their own power, and everybody's sovereign in their own right. That's like saying, hey, I want to go from being sovereign to being subservient. So you got to have every grandmaster degree to have it to being a servant and not being sovereign. And I think the best thing we can shoot for is everybody just working together, doing their own thing, and everybody just support. Like I'm on here, I'm supporting the cause. And I feel like for most of the guys that are sitting there that are complaining, even if they're from PHA about a Masonic burial, I bet you it's way more PHA guys that are like, hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think we should focus on the people that are positive and look at how can everybody grow from that. Because eventually, the naysayers, they'll get drowned out by positive energy.
And you say that, but one person just posted, James just posted, Mr. James just posted, Mr. Hawkins does not want to unite with PHA. Now, I'm gonna tell you what
see, the thing about it, nobody's asked somebody to unite. Why can't we just all exist? So, and instead of them texting, why don't one of them come on this call and really say how they really feel? My thing is, I think this is so minute to make something a respect for a family member dying, and if we can't come together and grieve at a time of death for somebody. I mean, that's the most asinine shit I've ever seen in the most insensitive of the most insensitive people. At some point, people gotta look at how can we all work together on a common goal to grow and achieve something. And these guys that are the naysayers, let them keep mumbling. They don't keep mumbling. They don't mumble on both sides. I think they should be ignored, and positive energy should just shine through.
Well, James just posted that we right now, he says we coexist. And I totally disagree with that. We tolerate each other. We don't just coexist. Coexist means that you respect the next person. That's coexisting. Coexisting means to support, to aid, to render services. That's coexisting. And some people may say, well, no, I can live next door to that guy and never speak to him. That's tolerating someone. You tolerating him. You know, that's what that's at. You're tolerating that person. And we need to learn and grow from that. You need to move forward from that. We've been here too long talking and going over some of the same old things for over 100 years now. And we still hadn't gotten together. Like my wife told me a few nights ago, she said, sometimes you guys sound like you bitching. And I was like, wow, really? She said, yeah, I listen to them on the phone and it just sounds like they just going in at it. I'm like, wow. I'm like, damn, you. She said, yeah, sound like some women. And I was like, oh my God. You know, but it made me think. It really gave me an opportunity to think in regards to what she's hearing as a member of the Order of the Eastern Star and a worthy matron, to say that the brothers, you mean to tell me you black men from the various jurisdictions, this is where you're at? This is the furthest that you've gotten? I'm like, exactly. It made me think, you know, for her to hear how we go back and forth over the phone. And she's like, my God, you brothers, y'all sound like some cackling women. And I had to actually think about that. I'm like, well, damn. Hold on. Greetings.
Hey, this brother Sutton, how's it going?
It's going okay. Are you call? We on live. Are you calling live?
Yeah, I'm calling live. I hear what your wife just told you a couple days ago. Let me drop my 2 cents in. You know, I just think outside looking in and inside looking out, Brother Hawkins, I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart. You've done some stuff. Okay, the things that you're doing will never be duplicated. And no matter how much you do and what you do, you're going to have someone that's always against you. And that's just being real. So it may be because of you that some brothers, they're going to hate you because you're doing things that they can't do. I saw a brother make a statement against on their Brother Hawkins. I don't think it has anything to do with Brother Hawkins, because if you had Brother Hawkins way, then a lot of you kids, brothers wouldn't be on the figure the way you do. It just called every week. Now, as far as the random funeral, I like it. It's the first time it's going to happen. I'm sure it won't be the last. Brother Hawkins still going to have to hate it. So that's just something that you're going to have to get used to. And at some point, you're going to have to just tune all that out and keep on marching forward, because without you, a lot of these brothers don't know what they know, and they can't do anything about it. That's how it's about you.
And that's true, and I appreciate you coming on and just really dropping that down like you did, and the mere fact that we can actually begin somehow to have these open conversations and dialogues in regards to what's actually going on. Brother Hawkins, it's PH boy from Raleigh, North Carolina. We coexist, nothing but love whenever we meet up. That's my boy, Alex. He's absolutely correct. That's a brother from Raleigh, North Carolina. He is a member of Prince Hall Grand Lodge of North Carolina. That brother came all the way out here to California, and we hooked up, and we went out, and we had a great time. He hollered at some of his brothers who was Prince Hall here, came back over to the table. We sat down. We had a great fellowship. We went out and hung out. But that's what Masonry is really all about. I mean, some of us get so tied up over nothing, but it's bigger than where you're at. If I find myself in North Carolina, I'm calling Brother Alex up, and he knows it. Hey, bro, I'm in the town. This is where I'm at. He's driven. I think he drove like 45 minutes to hook up with me. You know, there are brothers out there who are part of PHA, who really sees this thing totally different than a lot of brothers do. They legitimately do. Period. Brother Little, you still on, right?
I'm still here, man.
Okay, so you remember when I came to Georgia and was at your shop and that big and you threw that barbecue get together at your shop?
Yeah, we have brothers from everywhere.
Brothers from all. I'm just saying, he know it. It was brothers from all different jurisdictions that came through.
If I never sat in the line with anybody, I ain't gonna lose no sleep. If you're a Mason and you're Masonic and you understand what traveling is really about, if traveling is all about you sitting in somebody's line, I mean, then that's what you travel for. I ain't traveling to sit in nobody's line. I'm traveling to meet men of like minds and men that can give me some knowledge and some life that I can learn from. Because I got a lot of PHA brothers and they call me brother. They shake me up. They don't have a problem with it. I've never had one PHA brother disrespect me. I mean, to my face. Now online, them online gangsters. That's just internet keyboard gangsters, you know. I'm the same guys right now, probably typing little messages, saying negative stuff for this whole live right now. But they ain't gonna come on here and speak. Them is internet gangsters. I used to get them energy when I feel like we had something to prove. Man, I ain't even nothing to prove. Like I go to Kansas and the past grandmaster of Kansas, when he throws his blue festival, I'm his honored guest.
Clear this line up on Masonic to call in.
I'm his honored guest. We have a great time. I'm not like, oh, I gotta sit there like, man, get out of there with that, man. I don't care. Like, we kick it hard. And I got, like, my whole family on my mom's side in New York, all PHA. I mean, nobody, that is like, it's so old school to be throwing out, I'm this, I'm that, and we this, and we don't do that, we bigger. I don't even waste energy on that. It's really a waste. But when I see somebody and they never give me a problem, I've never had any issues. I got a lot of PHA brothers that I'm super cool with. Never. As a matter of fact, I had one PHA guy. He was doing teaching some EAs. He had me come speak for him, help teach the class.
I remember you telling me that. But that's hard to believe for a lot of brothers. Trust me. That what you just did, what you just said, do you know how hard that is for a lot of people to believe? Because they've been told a lie.
It depends on what they used to saying. Because like I said, where I'm from, we have our business meetings. That's our large business. But when it comes to anything else, we can have Masonic intercourse all day long. We can go to functions. We do that. It ain't nobody hollering this 3-letter, 4-letter thing. You have a few old cats that go, you know, the old heads is like, I know my obligation, I'm stick to it. At least they respect you enough to tell you that. But the majority, there ain't nobody with that madness no more, because ain't nobody discussing large business. They just being Masonic and coexisting Masonic. And that's what I left. I saw this weirdness. I'm like, I don't even know where that's coming from.
Well, let's look at this word they like to say, coexist. You know, there's a difference between coexisting and tolerating someone.
Right.
There's a big difference. And I think a lot of times when Mr. James was saying, oh, we coexist, you don't coexist, you tolerate. Right. Coexist means that, hey, when I see you, we speak, we have that mutual thing that we respect in regards to each other as not only men, but brothers and sisters of the order. But that's the difference. Coexisting and having that respect. Is no respect there. Greetings.
Hello, Brother William Smith.
How you doing there, Brother William Smith? You good?
I was calling in to ask a question.
All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
I'm a part of the Free and Accepted Masons of Morrison Lodge number 76 out of Kentucky. I was calling to ask, what is the differences and or similarities between the lodge that I'm a part of and the Prince Hall Lodge?
Oh, and what lodge you're a part of now?
Morrison Lodge number 76 out of Elizabeth Town, Kentucky.
Okay, is that ancient free? Is that what is that? What? What is your marquee? Are you ancient free, modern free, international?
Ancient free and accepted.
Okay, so you're ancient free and accepted. Is that under a state Grand Lodge predominantly white Masons or predominantly African American Masons?
Predominantly white.
Okay.
I'm mixed distinct. I was just trying to see what the similar
I'm gonna.
gender differences were.
There's not much at all. That's the God honest truth.
Can I chime into that real lightly?
Go ahead.
And I'm gonna let you take over. I mean, we all took an oath and obligation to the God of our understanding, saying that we were going to be better men in society. That's what we all did, and we all stand behind love, faith, hope, and charity.
Mm-hmm.
That is the matrix of what we all stand behind, and we all told the deity of our understanding that we are going to be better men. That is what we have in common. What our main differences is the ideas of people that are in power, that are continuing on fights for now decades, hundreds of years of differences, and at some point, when do you move forward and say, "Hey, I can work with them. I can work with them." They don't have to. I don't have to sit in nobody's lodge for us to say, "Hey, we're gonna work together." Because I can tell you this: if you have Masons that start doing mass shootings, I don't care what jurisdiction you belong to. If there's some Masons that start killing people in mass shootings, everybody's gonna wear that shit stain. And among Masons, say they know, so they do, so they know. It don't matter because the people don't understand. These Masons are just going loco crazy.
Yep.
So no matter what a Mason does wrong, everybody wears the shit stain. No matter what a Mason does right, everybody wears the positive sign. But getting back to the initial question, love, faith, hope, and charity. And in America, we take our oath of obligation to the deity of our understanding. So
that is true.
On the BSL, I'm keeping it real simple and real dummy down.
There you have it, Brother William Smith.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. You got another question? You good?
Not at this time. I'm about to be tasked to my executive.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So one brother asked me, he said, is there any jurisdiction that you consider to be clandestine? Let me tell you, until we open up communication with a particular jurisdiction or any jurisdiction, we don't care. It's not my business. We don't care. It is not our business until we open up communication with their jurisdictions to decide whether we're going to have mutual recognition, mutual respect, visitation, and then we'll decide to say, yeah, you know what, they good, or no, they don't, they're not a fit. But we don't consider them clandestine. That's not, you know what? No. No, we don't even consider them to be irregular because we haven't gone into their jurisdiction to say what they're doing is right or wrong. That's not our choice to go in and say, well, they're doing it wrong. Just because you're doing something the way you do it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's right for you. It may not be for me, but it's right for you. Until we look at that and see that for what it's worth, you're going to be going back and forth for a long time. That's just like the Grand Lodge of England said that the female Grand Lodge of England is regular in their works, okay? But they're irregular because they're females. The only way you're going to know that they're regular in their works is unless you go see it for yourself. Now, what that does tell you? That tells you that they had to set in a Masonic title lodge in order for them to judge their works. Am I right or wrong?
Right, but you're absolutely right. And also, women used to sit in the lodges alone.
But see, you can't. Everybody ain't ready for that conversation there, Melvin Little. Everybody ain't ready to know that females sit in the lodge a long time ago. Before it was written down and changed. I ain't ready for that conversation. And it's sad. It's sad, you know, It's just like the same thing they did for them when they was in the Bible. Same thing, almost wrote them out, you know. Until you go get other books to read for yourself, this is what you're going to get. Until you go and occupy your mind with useful knowledge, this is what you're going to get. And like I said, in about 3 more years, because I've been saying it for like 2 years, in about 3 more years, the Grand Lodge of England and the Grand Lodge, female Grand Lodge of England, are going to have mutual recognition. You know why? Because there's too many mixed lodges over in Europe right now. Am I lying? It's too many mixed,
and they growing.
It's too many mixed lodges over in Europe right now. And the trend is really taking off. You are going to continue to have all male lodges because you have all female lodges. But there are a lot of mixed lodges. And you cannot trend that. You cannot taper that down. And they are growing. As a matter of fact, they are here in the United States right now. There are 2 female Grand Lodges in the United States. One is in California and one is in Washington, D.C.
You know,
Period.
I got guys in my jurisdiction, they would never accept a woman as a Mason. My thing is, it's not up to me to say who is and who's not. My job is I need to focus on making myself a better me and trying to do what I said and what I said I was going to take an oath to do, which is love, faith, hope, and charity. That's my job.
Correct.
That's my job. And if I can focus on me and make myself better, then that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, and that just goes back to the original topic of tonight, the Masonic burial, rights and privileges. You know, we often talk about rights, lights, and parts of this which were lodge, erected God, dedicated to the Holy St. John's, as many and brothers and fellows have done before me. It doesn't say as many of Prince Hall, John G. Jones, Modern and Free, or anybody else. It doesn't say that. In most Masonic rituals, it doesn't say that at all. And I know everybody's ritual is not the same, but there are some things that are core in the Masonic rituals. They are core. You no matter what book you pick up, it's going to be there, including in the Masonic cipher. But until we begin to practice the things that we say, we're going to always have these same conversations coming up, whether it be now or whether it be 3021. They're going to come back up. So we have to, as Masons, we got to evolve because we haven't come that far as you think. Go ahead, Melvin.
No, I was just going to say that we take our oath and obligation. It's funny because a lot of 33rds don't talk about their oath and obligation as a total game changer to the first one, second, and third. But you know, that's another story that we can't get into. I'm just saying that's a game changer, oath and obligation. It's a bit. If that ain't, and that's one thing I do see. I never hear most guys that are like 33rds disregard another 33rd. I never. It's more unity all the way at the top because those guys have grown than it is with the guys at the bottom. But I think it's a lot of guys at the bottom that's like, they just ain't down for that. They want to have open relations because they got friends because that's part of different jurisdictions and stuff. And it honestly, it's asinine. It's stupid to say that brothers can't fraternize or I do this or do that because and then you got to get permission from your Grand Lodge. I want permission so I can go over here and talk to this brother. To me, it's 2021. It's stupid.
I'm going to tell you something, and it's interesting. People think Masonry started in 1717 for some odd reason. I still haven't figured it out yet. Masonry been around way before they had that meeting at the Apple Tap. You know what I'm saying? Way before they decided to come up with those 5 mother lodges. Masonry been around before that. They just sanctioned off their own section of it. Doesn't mean that nobody was practicing Masonry before that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I agree.
So all of a sudden, since this little sanction pops up, now everybody want to, play up under that and play these little clandestine games. You don't even know the truth. You hadn't even studied the history of masonry enough and thought about the history of masonry enough to realize that there is no one group that can really control masonry as long as they're practicing the craft of masonry. And I had a brother from Bugle tell us this in a letter when I was in a different jurisdiction in Modern Free. Some of us got together and we wrote a letter over to Bugle to understand why is it that there are certain parts of PHA that come at us like they do. And they, Bugle said they didn't have any problem with anybody that practices the craft of masonry. But they don't understand that either. And because they know that masonry been around before they even set up their little sanction of masonry. You can look in 1500 and see there was a Irish lodge that was set up in the 1500s. You can go back to the 1300s. You can go back deeper than that.
Scotland had been working for what, close to 500 years.
It's just something developed in somebody's head to play this little mind game about, you know, my frat better than your frat thing. And for what? The craft of masonry is the craft of masonry. Nobody can own it. It's a discipline. It's a teaching. You can't own a teaching. You can't own disciplines.
I agree. And a lot of people are not touching on the fact that it used to only be 2 degrees. Now there's so many degrees and so many different styles out. And masonry was designed to grow and to be supposed to be ahead of the time. And where, you know, I get a lot of disagreement with a lot of people that they say, hey, we've been doing like this since 17 to 18. And you know what? Those guys, they were back in those days, they were implementing new things. That's why you had new degrees. You had appellate degrees. You had your Scottish Rite. You had your York Rite. Then you got your different houses. You know, all that stemmed from growth. Now all of a sudden, masonry has to be in a stagnated position. I don't understand that. I have to be these set stories. This is set. It's like this or else. But those guys made up all these extra appellate degrees. They start merging crafts, so they understand. People don't understand that it used to be that or the royal art that was like clandestine, but they merged in, and now all of a sudden everything now it's all good. The royal art used to be the first degree, so everything is like a mosh pit. That's what they did back then. They did what they had to do for the survival of the craft, and for the growth, and for the greater good. Now all of a sudden, brothers are so rooted in yesterday's teachings that nobody. It's like, well, we can't think of nothing new today. I don't get it.
When the key is what you just said. We can't think of nothing new today. You and I both know that there are several different rights out there right now that that if it was exposed, these rights were exposed, people would consider these rights clandestine because they've never heard of them or they've never seen them. In most of your mainstream jurisdictions, they have what you call college rights or college degrees, but I think they call them college rights, if I'm not mistaken. And these rights, Brother Little, you remember when I was at your home and you showed me the various rights that was practiced beforehand?
And then the guys that are studying those college rights, they go get all that knowledge and they keep it to themselves and they bury it and they still practice it.
They do
stuff that everybody's calling clandestine. They are practicing it.
Yeah, and when we found that out, Brother Little, when we found it out, we was like, oh my goodness. And he shared that information with me. You know, so just because you don't do it in your jurisdiction doesn't mean it's not wrong. I mean, it's right for that jurisdiction.
You got Grand Lodge State guys that come together under those college rights, and they practicing all the way up to the 96th degree. Now, why is that? And they studying it, and they having get-togethers. They having almost like grand sessions where they meet. They talk about all these different degrees, and then we have a few guys here that's talking about what's what. I don't understand it. Like, at some point, as men, and most of us black men that are there, even white men as well, but most of us black men, the way we run around fighting, it's asinine. it's so yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Brother Debo, you're putting a lot in you're putting a lot in there, bruh. And if you want to call in, you know you're welcome to do so. That number tonight, don't call my cell phone, Brother Debo. That number tonight is 286-0642. I'm gonna put it in here in the chat for you to have. If you want to call in tonight, Brother Debo, 619-286, Brother Debo.
I would like for somebody from PHA to call in and offer their opinion, both positive and negative. Because I don't, my thing is that if everybody here is non-PHA or non-Grand Lodge Estate, it's kind of like a one-sided conversation. So I think it's only fair that somebody has the gall or the nuts to call in to conversate with us and not just be the text masters.
Well, I just hit Brother Debo because he was putting some hell of a paragraphs in there in the chat, and I don't think right now that a brother will call in. I mean, granted, I've asked them to call in, but you just let it be where it's at. If they want to chat like that, they can have it.
Exactly, but you know what? If they asked me to call in and the shoe was on the other foot, I would go ahead and call in.
I would say
if I felt so strong about my conviction, I'm gonna explain it why, and I'm gonna let everybody know this is how I feel. I'm not just gonna be a text master about it. I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna put it down and make everybody understand this is why I have an ignorant position. That's what I would do.
Well, I would say this. The brothers from Modern Free and International that are here, that we work with and we fellowship with, and we have that bond amongst the lodges here in San Diego, LA, and also in Vegas. We have that bond because we figure we best work together. It is best that we work together instead of in our own corners. This is why when we go to the desert, man, that's gonna be an experience. And in about 3 weeks, right there, Brother Goodman. In about 3 weeks, we go to the desert, right?
Yeah, 21 days and counts.
Hold on just a second. Yes, go ahead.
What up, bro?
What's going on with you? All right, so tonight we're talking about a couple of things, but more in particular that of the Masonic burials, rights and privileges. Although we have really had a conversation in regards to multiple things, but that is the topic tonight.
Okay. Well, I just was listening. I actually just tuned in. I caught the latter part. What's going on, Brother Melvin? How you doing?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing, man? Hey, why don't you give them why don't you put the chat number inside the text?
Yeah, I did. I did.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm well, man. How about?
Look, y'all gonna have to talk about pops when you call them. I'm looking for you to chat in on tonight's conversation.
Look, check it. But what he said a while ago about unity, those that the 33rd degree and
He said that those who are in the 33rd degree have a better understanding of the craft, and they show a little bit more respect toward the craft of different brothers who are of the 33rd degree.
Well,
because they have matured.
Right? You know why that is, right?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Well, to obtain your 33rd degree, which is just an honorary degree, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back down to the 32nd degree. So in the 32nd degree, that degree is a sublime prince of the royal secret.
You got that? You got some reverb in the background.
All right, hold on. How about now?
Go for it.
The sublime degree, sublime prince of the royal secret.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what's the secret? You know what I mean? But those who have obtained or understand what that secret is, or have finally found what the secret is, that is what makes them, be respectful. Because once you find out what that secret is, and everybody's not going to find out what that secret is.
Very true.
You know what?
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I need no mess with it.
But my point is, once you, if you're a student of the craft, and you have obtained that level, you see things through a different lens because you understand what that secret is. And if you go contrary,
but brother
to that,
Debo, you know for yourself they're gonna tell you there's no secrets in Freemasonry.
that's the ones that never get it.
That part we ain't gonna tell you.
Oh my goodness. They'll tell you straight to your face. There ain't no secrets in Freemasonry.
We ain't telling you.
Well, what is I'm pretty sure everybody's ritual tells them that the modes of recognition,
Right.
certain groups passes, so forth and so on.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a secret as in a secret, but everybody don't know what all those things entail. They think they know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, let me ask you this. There was a written language. I'm pretty sure most on the line know about this. There was a written language that the brothers used in a period or in a time, which some still use. Even your rituals are written in a cipher, right? So if your rituals are written in a cipher, anybody can pick that book up, but they will never understand what that book is saying if they don't have the key to decipher the cipher.
Right.
But that ain't no secret, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's secret. It's intended to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If it wasn't, then why would you write it in the cipher in the first place?
Absolutely.
It's a lot. It's a lot to the craft. I'm not no scholar. You know what I mean? I don't know everything. I strive every day to learn something new. That's why I study and read the way that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Apply myself. You know what I mean? And a lot of individuals out here that are claiming the title of Mason, because it is a title.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're claiming the title of being a Mason. But their hearts are so far away from the very principle of what they claim to be. How can you have a hatred in your heart for your fellow man because he doesn't see things through the lens that you see them through? But in the very first quick question, it asks you, when was you first prepared to be made a Mason?
That's dangerous.
You know what I mean?
I got that answer for a lot of brothers. It's in their pocket.
He said it's in the pocket for a lot of them.
We must really and truly understand that everybody is not going to get it.
They're not.
Is not going to get it.
You know the young.
When you read into your writ, some people's writs are different. Some of them are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But generally, it's not very, very much difference in the wording of them. But there's a question to ask you: what makes you a Mason? And the answer that it gives you don't say nothing about no affiliation. Let's start there.
Hey, you know you're not going to get that argument out of me, but I know exactly where you're at. Ain't nothing there to argue.
It's a lot,
man. If we be honest about it.
Right.
If we be honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
There is
And then,
there's a lot of created. No, I'm just gonna say it the way that I feel it. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of lies that's been told on both sides of the fence.
Okay, teach that.
Depending on who's telling the story. Depending on who's telling the story. Now, let's I don't feel like, I mean, I don't want to get anyone to feel like I'm bashing or I'm talking down.
It's too late. It's too late. They already said you was bashing. It's too late.
Well, that's what they say and that's what they feel. But I put it like this: a man only bashes a man feeling that man is bashing him. I feel like this: live and let live. That's just the way I see it. Live
right.
and let live.
Okay.
But when a man feels like he's being attacked, that man he's gonna defend himself. He's gonna defend himself. Why? That's one of the first laws of nature, self-preservation. Survival. You understand what I'm saying? But let's just look at it in this manner. While we running around here debating about regularity, legitimacy, and lineages, and while we're doing all that, in the meanwhile, the very same community whom we draw our membership from suffers. They suffering. But we are bashing and fighting each other. But our communities are just suffering and going down. Many of us say, or many of people will say, oh, well, you ain't got to be a Mason to give to the community or to assist the community or to help the community. I don't know what rock you've been living up under for those that say that. Because if you go back to Masonry, back in the day with your grandparents, my grandfather, your grandfather, great-grandfather, when they did what they done, it was all about the community that they lived in.
True that.
They were the people in the community. They were the people that the community went to when it was a problem in the community. They didn't go to the Elks. You know what I mean? They didn't go to the DFW. Majority of the time, they went to the brothers of the craft because they knew that whatever the problem was, that the brothers was going to resolve that problem one way or another. Why do you think they have so many brothers that was in the civil rights movement?
On both sides.
On both sides.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I see people say this, and it's a question for, I'm looking at the corner boy prophet where he said if people were taught the GM check word, we would all be better off. Well, you know, it's two of them and not one.
We're going to have that conversation afterwards.
Yeah.
For real. But go ahead.
You can't have one, you can't have that. You can't have that without the other. You know what I mean? It's a hand and glove thing. You can't have that without the other. But there will be those that say you don't know what he's talking about. I beg to differ. Read, and you'll find out for yourself.
Absolutely.
Like going back to this the burial rights. Is that not a right of the brother?
Certainly it is.
Okay, so if one refuses that brother his right, regardless. Well, so basically, this is my point. When Elijah's dog, or we have a coronavirus thing going on, whatever the case may be, is that a justifying fact, or do we just tell the brothers don't die in the months that we're gone?
Hey, I can only speak for my jurisdiction on that particular subject. If you want to go there, I can't speak for other people. If there's a brother in this jurisdiction that passes We need to be there for that brother. Period.
Not so much. It's not so really. It's not so much. The brother is the brother, yes. But the thing that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take care of the widows and the orphans, right?
Yeah, my grandmaster did say that, but yes, go ahead.
Look after the widows and the orphans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that brother passed away. That means he has a family.
Yep.
It's not guaranteed that he was married, so it may not be a widow, but if he had a significant other, even though they were not legally married, she would still be considered a widow.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And if he didn't have any children, there's no orphans.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he had said that he was going to be a protector over the widows and the orphans. So if he was a protector over widows and the orphans, that means he pretty much had some orphan children that he was looking after, or whatever the case may be. So do you pick up that now and keep pushing on for that brother? Because we know in the physical form, yes, the brother is gone in the physical form. But here we go with something that we study or something that we come across in the ritual. There's three things somewhere that we come across called chalk, charcoal, and clay.
Keep on.
You know what I mean? Dealing with the chalk. Let's go with the chalk.
Let's go with the chalk.
You know what I mean? What impression? What mark did he leave? If he, what legacy did he leave behind? This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Now, we have brothers that will say different or believe different or even feel different, and that's fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's fine. Your understanding may not be the same as mine, and mine may not be the same as yours. That's not to say that mine's right. It's not to say that it's wrong. It's not to say that yours right. It's not to say that it's wrong. But somewhere along the line, even in the beginning, we got something called logic that we're supposed to deal with.
But how many of us too many of us allow our emotions to get in the way. Come on now.
Ruffians, brother. That's one of the ruffians is our own egos.
Well, a lot of us still got to get rid of them ruffians.
Yeah, that's why some say, well, the ruffians, they died. Nah, man, you deal with them every day in your own ignorance.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Be it envy, jealousy, and what's the other one?
It could be a lot. It could be a number of things.
But yes.
It could be a number of things.
You know what? If I can say something real quick, this is something I noticed.
Everyone's
hold on.
are different.
Brother Debo, Brother Little is going to say something. Go ahead, Brother Little.
I was just going to say, if someone has an opinion and it is opposite of what we are saying, we got some pretty heavy guys in the room right now. What better time to prove your point than right now? This is something that I also noticed with these guys. They put these little certain groups together, and like the deck is stacked. Well, one thing I got to give you credit for, Brother Muhammad, is you're saying, okay, look, here's an open forum. If you guys have a different of opinion, if you are some super Masonic historian / scholar, why not come on the forum where there's nothing set up? There's no stacked deck in here. It's an open forum. All you get is these little guys, and they're just doing a lot of testing. Most people fail to understand and realize that the only thing your organization and jurisdiction can do is make men Masons. In certain organizations, they can make sister stars. But just because you're made, don't mean you're operating up under the juris of your being made a Mason or being made a star or anything like that. Because being a Mason is more than saying, I belong to so and so, and I belong and this, and I'm this, I'm that.
But see, that goes back to what Debo.
Have you did any work? Square work.
But see, that goes back to what you said earlier, and it goes back to what Debo has said.
So my thing is, where's your work at? Have you When the last time you bought somebody a meal? When the last time you said, brother, somebody come over and do me, you know, I want to go help. I want to do this. I want to do that. Damn, I really don't like doing that shit at Saturday. But you know what? I took an oath and obligation. I'm just going to use an example. This morning, around lunch, I took my kids, my wife, them out, and my mom, and we went out and we had like a little brunch lunch. And some guy was out there. He got done talking to my mom. He asked her for some money. I said, look, bro, you shouldn't be asking a woman for money to a man right here. But the main thing was, if you're hungry, I'll get you something to eat. He said, yes. I took him inside, got him something to eat, and he wanted to order a drink. I said, nah, bro. You can get a regular drink. I won't accompany that. I bought him a meal, took care of the waitress, said, hey, take care of him. He said, I'm gonna get his food in a plastic box and carry it. Okay, I said, he wanna sit here and eat. Make sure he gets taken care of. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna call yourself a Mason and be a Mason, it doesn't fucking matter what my jurisdiction is. That's gonna make me a Mason. It's my actions and how I carry myself.
Definitely your actions. Definitely that.
It's gonna make us, but our actions and how we carry ourselves is what's gonna decide if we are what we claim that we are. Not just wearing like I say, hey, I got on this, he got on that, check me out, my jacket, bro. It's so much more than that. But you know, we got different levels. So people join for different reasons. Some people have that gang mentality, and some people actually want to do what's right. Not saying all of us are perfect, because I fall by the great side all the time. But damn, at least I try. And I will do something. If somebody called me and they need help, anybody who knows me, I won't care if you PHA, Grand Line, the State, John G. Jones, Progressive Glow, it doesn't matter to me. If I'm a brother, I'm supposed to help a brother out. His jurisdiction has no merit.
Has none. None at all. So look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to stay on Zoom, and I'm going to get ready to log off on the live stream. I want to appreciate everybody for coming on. If you want to get the live stream tonight, if you want to get into the Zoom, please, you can email me at jgjafam@yahoo.com. If you want to get on the Zoom, I can then email you the connection, and you can.
Can you put the number inside it?
For the Zoom,
way, you know, maybe if it's offline, one. Yeah.
Hold on just a second.
That way somebody can call in.
Hold on, just
of opinion.
Let me see if I can do this real quick.
You know what that is, Brother Melvin?
What's that?
The problem is
that is the Zoom connection. I just put it in.
People will have a difference of opinion, and they'll go through that opinion, and you know, when the individual that's there with the opposition, they will never say nothing. They'll just sit there. You know, they'll just sit there, or they won't speak up. And the greatest thing in the world is communication for me. You know what I mean? So I understand that everyone is not going to have the same opinion about things about me. So let's have this conversation. Let's talk about it. What you think and you feel versus what I think, what I feel, and what can be proven. What can we prove? But the thing about that is, another thing that goes into that is that every man's truths are not the same.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Some see some things one way, some see things another way. It depends on that individual themselves. Now, you have a Christian, and he is a staunch believer in Christianity. Then you have a Muslim, and he's a staunch believer in Islam, right?
Correct.
Well, they can sit down at the table and they can have a conversation. A lot of times, they don't talk about the common link. They don't talk about the common link. They don't look at that there is a common link between the two. They will go on and on about the differences and arguing about the differences rather than talk about the common link.
Right.
And I feel that we about the things that we do agree upon. And there's a lot of things that we can agree upon. There's a lot of things a Christian and a Muslim can agree upon. Why focus the energy on the negative, knowing that eventually that negative energy is going to creep in, and that it's going to be discord. We would rather invite discord in our home as opposed to many of us would rather invite discord into our home instead of peace. This is the freaking main reason why we say order out of chaos.
But see, you went somewhere else with that one, didn't you?
Well,
yeah, you had to do that. You had to go somewhere else with that one.
Well, that just shows how all this ties in together, man. It just shows how it all ties in together. Life, you don't live life in separate stages. You live life in one motion. You can develop to another stage, but you're still in the same body. Your mental can elevate, but you're still in the same body.
Yeah, see.
So I really don't understand how we find ourselves in situations where brothers who are supposedly men of enlightenment or men of understanding, why is it that we find ourselves wielding axes at each other all the time?
Well, but that's what we do. We grind that axe, brother. We grind that axe.
But we don't have to. We choose to.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and log off. I put the passcode for those who want to join the Zoom. I put the passcode in there, so you can definitely join the Zoom tonight if you choose to.
All I see is a phone
number. There's a phone number in there if you want to call in. And then there's a passcode in there, member ID passcode in there if you want to join us tonight. So we're going to go ahead and log off. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And thank you there, Brother Morpheus. Appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you real soon. And we're going to go ahead and continue this conversation on the Zoom. So once again, that was a two-way street. It's not one-sided. Nothing is never one-sided, Brother William Green. If you want to join us on Zoom, you're certainly welcome to do so.
Hey, you know what, Brother Muhammad, real quick?
What's that?
Yeah. I like that guy, man.
You don't like, you like or you don't like?
I do. William Green, I do.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. From what I know, him posting, yeah.
What I see of him, he's fair.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What I see of him is fair. He's not the one that'll jump out the window and get to their name calling and things like that.
Yeah, because like he said, it's a two-way street. He says that's a two-way street. It's not one-sided. He's absolutely correct. You know, so dang, I wish he could have been on here earlier. You know, but we're gonna
really did nobody dog any organizations or anything. I'm sorry, nobody dog any organizations. It's just open. You know, you're the only guy that opens a forum up where it's open for any side to come in. And why is it that people who have negative things to say, why not call in and you don't have to type it in the chat because some people just listening. So people can get your point of view. And I'm not talking about Brother Green, I'm just saying it for instance. I don't see why. But you have other guys that they will have these forums and it's just so closed. They don't really take comments. They'll just put out edited, rehearsed YouTube. Gotta be approved by the fathers or whoever these guys are. So I want to commend you for having something that's open. Because when you have something that's open, you allow everybody to say their opinion, whether if I respect it or not, or you respect it or not, you allow it. So that takes a bigger man to do that, and that's the only way for us to be able to grow. It's for people with a difference of opinion to be able to talk. Like what we doing, ain't no screaming and cussing, none of that. It's an open forum with an open conversation. So I want to commend you for that, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to go ahead and log off tonight. As far as the live is concerned, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate your comments in the chat, and we're gonna keep this going. Once again, thank you. I appreciate you, and join us on the next show that'll be coming up. It's gonna be very interesting. Trust me on that one. It's gonna be the after effects. So look, we're gonna go. Enjoy your day. God bless you. Whatever you do, stay at the bushes and keep your light on. The higher we climb, the clearer the vision. I'm out.